All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So what let's do next is let's swear in everybody that's going to speak about anything that's on the agenda today, for, against, or just make a comment, because everything is done under oath here. If you all stand at one time, raise your right hand, and let's take care of that.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
All right. Then we call the first item on the agenda for today, which is file PZ 2024-181. It's a request by John Limbrick for a variance at an address 2680 Dauphine Place. And more specifically, if I can get the request up here. It's a request for reduction of a minimum side yard setback from 5 feet to 1 foot to construct an open-air carport in line with an existing brick fence. Could we have the staff report, please? And you can presume we've read this report more than once.
Yes, sir.
If you could tell us anything new or different that we need to know.
No, sir. The staff report has not changed from the previous table due to the applicant's absence. There was 19 property owner notices sent out again. Again, we received the one in opposition stating it's a residential neighborhood and they are concerned that it's for an expansion of a commercial business. There was 0 in favor of the request on the screen. The slides have not changed. Subject property.
Okay.
Subject property.
Didn't we come up, isn't there a water meter?
That was a question that was raised when we didn't have an applicant present.
Right.
Okay,
The fence that he'd like to tie into
yes,
and his site plan. And the applicant is present today.
okay, very good. And what we'll do then is we'll just import into the record of today that information that we've received up to this point previously in previous meetings and pick up with the applicant's testimony. The applicant bears the burden of proving the requirements for this variance. Who wants to speak in favor of the applicant? Okay, if you would please come up to the lectern here. Tell us your name, your address, your relationship to the property, and just tell us whatever else you want to say about this application.
Okay. My name is John Limbrick. My address is 2680 Dauphine Place. I'm trying to build this carport, and I had it set back from the 2.5 feet all the way up to the 1 foot from the property line.
Okay,
So at this point, really up to you guys now.
well, tell us why this meets the requirements. Tell us why enforcement of the ordinance is something that does not work well other than that you just want to build this carport. Is there any other reason than that?
Yeah, it's going to beautify my area as well, and I'd like to have my columns match up with the existing columns or lined up with it so that, you know, it would match up, and then plus it'd give me a little bit extra room to get the vehicles that I need to get in.
Okay. There was a question raised based on an image that, and a review of the property, because it looks like you're going in basically toward that white brick wall, right?
Yeah, I'll be 5 feet.
You're gonna be backing up toward that
Yeah, I
white
won't-
brick wall.
Yeah, be 5 feet away.
The question is whether there's some kind of a utility meter, water meter, or otherwise that's in the path of your driveway between the curb and that wall that you're gonna have to go over. What is there?
Yes.
Okay, what is that?
You say over the wall?
No, not over the wall, but between the curb and the wall,
Yes, it's a water meter there.
it's a water meter.
Correct.
And you're gonna put a driveway over the water meter?
Well, we're supposed to be either raise it up to meet up with the slab, or I can, I already went down to the water department and got an estimate on moving it. So that's my options, either moving it or bring it up to the concrete with a concrete box.
I mean, he could put it in an approach. It could be in the slab.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They just have to put a traffic rated lid on it, and there's some things that you could do if you
Okay.
left it there. It's not ideal, but
Yeah. Well, but, if by some means there was you affected the integrity of the water line, they had to turn off the water to your house, how many people would be affected?
only my family.
that's his service line.
It's his
Well, it's
service line.
It is, but it comes from a main, and if there's a breach between the main and the meter, how many families would be affected?
Well, as far as I know, if you look across the street, I believe it's tie into that line. So it's not really into the main. So,
No, but there's a
But-
spud from the main to your meter,
yeah,
is what I'm saying. If there's a breach upstream of your meter, how many people would be affected?
as far as I know, just my family.
No, what he's saying,
He doesn't understand it.
Yeah.
He doesn't know the answer, so that's fine.
explain.
If you don't know the answer, you don't know the answer, that's
Right.
good enough. Okay.
So can I ask a couple?
Yeah, go ahead.
So,
Any other
Mr.
questions?
Limerick, one of the things we looked at, your concrete driveway, the actual pavement has to be 2 foot off the property line. But in this, site plan, the plot plan that we have, we're showing the new carport to be 1 foot off. So you're saying that I'm gonna call it the eave.
Right.
The eave, the edge of that cover is what you're calling to be 1 foot off. So
Yes.
pavement itself has to be a minimum of 2 foot. You realize that, right? We're not taking the driveway to 1 foot of the property
Well,
line.
I tied that question in with the eave and the concrete. I wanted the slab to be 1 foot from the property line, and then the eave will be off of the property line at least 1.5 feet.
So you're gonna pave outside your roof.
Yeah.
Well,
I see you've got 5 feet between the new carport and the existing wall. Why are you pushing this up to the property line that close?
Well, originally it was 3 feet when I first planned. And my second plan, I came out 5 feet so that I can realize I needed to protect my shrub on the side of the house. Is that what you're referring to?
I'm talking about that gap between the house and the carport.
Yeah, that's landscape.
And aesthetics. He wants the columns to line up.
Right.
Well, the columns won't line up you originally you'd had it on the property line so you could line up columns. Now you're offset a foot. What difference does it matter if you offset 2 or 3 feet? That's what I was asking. Apparently it's because you want to keep that 5-foot space.
Correct.
The drawing that we've got, I know it's not necessarily supposed to be to scale, but the drawing we've got shows the carport extending out past the concrete drive. And so that's one reason why I think there was some concern about that. And typically, commonly, the measurement that's given to us is a measurement from a property line to a first vertical structural piece,
Okay.
not the edge of the roof. So on your carport, how far is that first structural piece from the property line?
I would like for it to be, should be 1 foot from the property line.
Well, if it's 1 foot from the property line, you've got an eave, then the eave is going to overhang the property line.
Well, I set back the eave a little bit.
If you set back the eave, then
foot
you're
and a half.
setting back the eave inboard of your vertical structural piece. You're not going to do that.
No, well, the original plan it was told to me that it'd be 2.5 feet from the property line. So, so to bring the eave back 1.5 feet would be away from the property line, but the concrete would be, well, the eave would be over the concrete, and the slab would go all the way up to the 1 foot. Is that what you're talking about?
I'm not talking about the slab. I'm talking about the carport structure itself.
Yeah,
And I'm asking you the distance between the property line and the first vertical structural member of the carport. Understanding that the eave is going to fall outside of that, closer to the property line.
yeah,
There's no way you're going to put a roof and stop it before the vertical post or wall or column, whatever you use to support the roof of the carport. So what is the distance between the property line and the first vertical structural element of the carport?
2.5 feet.
Okay. Are there any other questions to the witness?
Mr. Limerick, the citizen that was in opposition stated that he was afraid you're going to use this for they, whoever it is, stated something about a business. Are you planning on parking in your construction trailers or anything under this cover?
No, not permanent. I mean, I go in and out my neighborhood. So if I need to get off the main road, which would be Mercantile, because it's very high traffic, I like to have it there. Plus, I have a couple, several vehicles, so my personal vehicles would be there. But as far as my company equipment is on my company property, outside of Beaumont. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions to the witness? All right, thank you, sir. Does anybody else want to speak for, against, or make any other comment concerning this request for a variance that was stated as request minimum side yard setback moved from 5 feet to 1 feet? I see nobody else standing up. So, no questions of staff or any more? Okay, we ready to talk about this?
Well, let's ask Elaine. We talked about this, I think, last week.
Okay, all right. Is there anything else you need to add? Okay. Any questions for Elaine?
So you brought up the 2 foot. That's the reason I asked again today. The edge of the paving for the driveway by ordinance is 2 foot.
Yes, and that was, I did go back and check the letter for the request. It was never submitted to reduce the pavement setback. But I think if I'm following where Mr. Timaeus is going, with him saying the structural member is going to be 2.5 feet, I think that will resolve itself.
Okay.
That's what I was talking about.
All right. Thank you. All right, all right. All right. My motion will be, unless somebody contradicts me, my motion will be that we grant a variance of the minimum side yard setback from 5 feet to 2.5 feet to the point of that structural vertical structural member of the carport, and let things fall within that. Any other commentary, suggestions? I mean, I'm open.
We've addressed, I mean, I feel we've addressed, the water meter was a big one, what
Yeah.
we can do about that.
And so I think, we'll let the city worry about the water meter and make sure that they require him to do whatever's required to protect that.
Absolutely.
But as far as putting a carport there,
Right down at the bottom.
I really concern myself about dropping stuff on other people's property. But at 2.5 feet, I don't think that's a problem.
No.
Okay, all right. So the motion is that the applicant be granted a reduction of the minimum side yard setback on the, I presume that's the east boundary of his property, from 5 feet to 2.5 feet in order to construct an open-air carport Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, second from Mr. Jones. Would you call the roll for a vote, please, ma'am?
Chairman Tamayo,
For it?
Board Member Hilliard,
4.
Board Member Rowe,
Or
Board Member Sorrell,
For it.
alternate Board Member Jones.
For it.
Okay. Are there any other, we've got one other item on the agenda. It is a request for variance to the minimum side yard setback and front yard setback requirements by Tory Bruce at 2780 South 7th Street. There's nobody else in the room than the staff and the mayor who's here observing and us. So are you?
Tour Bruce.
Okay, all right. I didn't realize that. All right, so what we'll do is we'll call this, I thought you were here observing the other one. All right, so here we go. Let's pick up this item on the agenda. Pull up a chair for a moment. Let us get the staff report on this. And if you would, please, ma'am, tell us where we're going.
Yes, sir. We have not had this one before. Mr.
Imagine that.
Mr. Bruce is requesting a variance to the minimum front yard setback and side yard setback for the property located at 2780 South 7th Street. The property is zoned RS, and which requires a minimum front yard setback of 25 feet and a side yard setback of 5 feet for single-story structures. The request is to build an open-air carport at the front along the existing driveway there. The front setback is being requested to be reduced to 15 feet, with the side setback being requested to 2 feet. This is the subject property kind of on the screen. This is the driveway where the carport will be installed. And this is the site plan. From discussions at the counter, the structural supports will be in line with right at the edge of the existing concrete drive, which is right at 2 feet off that property line.
All right. So we're looking at, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then we did send out 29 property owner notices, and we received 0 in favor and 0 in opposition.
Okay. And this was a pretty deep lot.
Yes.
I don't know.
Let's see, I'll go back so you can see.
Yeah.
It is pretty
But
far
it's,
inside.
and how wide is the lot?
I want to, yeah, 70. It's not a typical 50-foot lot. It is a little larger.
Okay. All right. Is there any other question of the witness of staff? If not, then Mr. Bruce, if you want to come up and talk to us, tell us whatever you want to tell us about this application.
Nothing, I'm just trying to get a little two-car standalone carport so me and my baby, we can get out and not get wet in the rain. And like I say, put it on the existing pavement that's been there. Yeah, the posts will be like right on the edge, like with the 2 foot of the driveway on the side. And then, like I say, in the front is just 15 feet from the 28 feet that I was supposed to be needing.
Are you going to put them outside the existing concrete or
No,
or go through the
everything
existing concrete?
it'll be on top of the concrete.
Okay. You're going to drill it and
Drill it down,
epoxy
anchored it
in?
down. It's gonna be anchored down to the concrete.
Okay. And it looks like you kind of carved out the roof of the house of that.
Well,
But notched it. Who did that? Was that you or was that the prior
I
owner?
had that corner, that edge, if you see the trailer in there, I
I
had
see
to cut
that.
it back some so I could back that trailer in, yeah.
Yeah, I see you
Notch it
notched
out
the
a little
roof.
bit,
That's-
so-
That was interesting.
My little drawing.
That's okay. That's it worked. It worked. All right. Any other questions this witness? All right. Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry, could we get your name and address for the record, please?
Tory Bruce, 2780 South 7th Street.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Mr. Bruce. I presumed that since it was you and that everything was here, I didn't need that. But yeah, we do need for you to state your name. Sorry. All right. Meanwhile, back at the ranch. Is there anybody else who wants to speak for, against, or otherwise comment? And there's nobody else in the room, so I presume not. Any more that we need to hear from you? All right. Do we have commentary, suggestions, or a motion from someone on the board? Well, then I'll move that we grant, as requested, a minimum side yard setback variance moved from 5 feet to 2 feet on this, which would be the south boundary. I'm sorry, north boundary,
North boundary.
in order to construct this open air carport. Is there a second?
I second.
Would you call a roll for a vote, please, ma'am?
Chairman Tamayo,
I'm for it.
Board Member Hilliard,
Four.
Board Member Rowe,
Or
Board Member Sorrell,
For it.
Board Member Jones.
Is there any other business to come before our group? If not, we will adjourn. Thank you very much.